Hello everyone. I wanted to show you my sweater and walk you through a quick tutorial on how I made it. I don't read patterns, nor do I write them, so I basically just have to kind of wing it and figure it out on my own. So that being said, I made a granny square out of Mandala yarn. It is this sparkle brand in Draco. This looks really green, but it's more of a teal and turquoise. Obviously, there's some blue, but whatever. So anyway, the yarn, I don't have a full skein or cake or whatever you want to call it, but this is 2 of them, and this is what I have left afterwards. I used 6 skeins, and I used an eye hook, but I am a tight hooker, so you probably want to use like an H hook, but it might not be area enough for you. I do have a tank top on underneath this, but I normally don't. I'm gonna take it off though, so I need to make sure that I have clothes on. Anyway, so that being said, I will show you exactly what I did. So I was gonna make a bag for my daughter, and she wanted to use this glitter yarn, but I was looking at it and I was thinking, she's young, she's probably going to end up breaking off all these little things because they are attached, but they're not really attached, you know what I mean? So anyway, what you need to do is you need to take a measuring tape, and if you don't have one like this, you can use like a string or something. Sorry, my cat is a pain in my butt. But what I did is I just measured myself, not around my bust, but right underneath, because it's gonna stretch for you anyway and give you a bit of a curve. So I measure myself, and I am 31. Just normally, I'm about a 32 right here, and I used to weigh 175 pounds, but I lost weight on accident because just being sick or whatever. So I am normally bigger, so I wanted to make it a little bit on the stretchier side so that it will fluctuate with my weight. But I normally wear a large. I'm normally a standard large. In this case, I would say I'm a bit right between a medium and a large. Anyway, so I made this granny square on the front and this granny square on the back. And I decided that I was going to make something out of granny square, a dress, something, but I didn't know what, because like I said, I haven't been crocheting for very long. I think I said that in this video. Maybe it was an outtake, but I haven't been crocheting for very long. So it's really difficult for me. I can't read or write patterns. So I just want to help you guys through it, and hopefully you can make one too. Okay. So basically I did the granny square. Then at the top, I single crocheted it all across. And when I got to the sleeve, I did a chain of 55, and then I connected it together right here. So this whole time it's basically it hanging down. And then I finished it. I went around the other side and chained 55 and connected it. So both top corners are connected at this point. Then I went around for 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, and that way it just makes it really sturdy, because the other way it was kind of stretching and I wasn't really loving it. So I saw a tutorial not too long ago where the lady does the bottom of a sweater like this, and I really liked it. So after I was done, I took, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows, and did a double crochet around the whole thing first, and then I chained up 3, and the second row, when I did a double crochet, instead of just going in the hole between the stitches, I did a front post, back post, front post, back post. Now I tried it on the whole time, and every single time I tried it on, I would think, oh, this is too big. So just to pull in the sleeves and give it that bunchiness that you need, I would skip like, or I would combine 2 stitches together and make a decrease. And then I would just roll with it from there out, because this has all kinds of ones that are not, you know, back and forth, and you cannot tell. You cannot tell. So like maybe if you're selling it, you might be a little bit more hard on yourself. But like for me, it's perfect. And I think it was perfect. So then after I was done with all that, I went around and did another row of single crochet, just because this turquoise color was not up here and I just wanted to make sure. But you can build it as high as you want. You know, I have a thyroid issue and I'm premenopausal, so I don't want it to be hot and I don't want it to touch my neck. Also, I made these sleeves so that you could see my tattoos too, but also for ventilation purposes. So that being said, I put it back on. I measured my stitch markers, or used my stitch markers to measure, and I was wearing a bra so I could see where my bra line would go, because I've been blessed, and it's not convenient, nor should I be allowed to, you know, just jiggle everywhere in public. I don't know, maybe I should be allowed. I don't know, I am allowed. But anyway, so sorry, I get nervous. I'm kind of awkward anyway. So then after I used my stitch markers and I figured out where to put these, I did 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34 rows of single crochet. And that way I like it because it stretches, but I did it a little bit tighter than I thought I should, because I know it's going to stretch, and the weight of the shirt does stretch it. So, you know, just, you know, err on the side of caution, or whatever, that it is going to stretch a little bit because it is heavy. This is made out of acrylic. The Mandala yarn is like, I think almost 100% acrylic, if it's not actually 100%. But it says 98% acrylic and 2% metallic polyester. So anyway, so that's a basic construction of it. Then I flipped it inside out. And, oh, I should say that when I went across the top, I went into every single stitch. I don't chain spaces between stitches. When I do a granny square, I just do like 12 in the center, and then I chain up 3, turn my work, and I do, you know, the corners or whatever, but I never do a chain space in between them, because I want it to be tight. And when I chain spaces, I feel like it gets big and wonky, and obviously I'm wearing it like this with just a bra, so I don't want it to be too see-through. Anyway, so after that, I came over and folded this inside out, and I put it on and I took pieces of yarn and I tied them all along the sides. There's a spot where it goes in a little bit naturally for me, so I tied them in a little bit further on those spots because it was looking a little bunchy and loose. So when I did it, I used a single crochet all the way down it, and on that part, if you can see it, I went 2 rows in, and then you just kind of have to gradually bring it out, but I went 2 rows in for about 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 spaces. So it was only about this far, which is probably about 4 inches. And then after I was done with that, I just, you know, ended it. I do come back around and do more granny squares, or more shells, I should say, of the granny square. After I was done, I did 3 more rows just to make it all even, and I did do an increase right here on the edge. So I just went around in all the available spaces, and then on the edge on each side I wanted it to be a little bit bigger for my hip. So this is how I did an increase, because I can't figure it out besides how you do the corner already. So anyway, moving along to the sleeve and the last part. So I had my sleeves start at the same color, obviously, because I did the top the whole time with this yarn. And what I love about this yarn is that the color changes on its own. So I use 6 skeins, but like I showed you, I have a good amount. So I'm going to make a little bag out of it to hold my inhaler and my phone. But anyway, so there was 55 chains in here, if you recall at first. And I say that the arm would be good for a large or an extra large. I'm not like super muscular, but I do got some muscles because I built heavy duty trucks for GM. So I'm like not stick thin. So I think that 55 chains would be great for like a large or an extra large, but should really figure, you know, measure and just kind of keep trying it on and make sure, because I had to pull it out a million times. So when you do your arm and you know how many stitches you want to go around the granny square, what I did is I held the square around my arm, and then I just held it like this, and then I counted. So right here, you know, where it's the smaller part, it was 12 stitches for me, or 12 shells, I should say. Shells, sorry, I'm new. So anyway, so I had 55 stitches. So what I did was I divided it by 3, and it gave me 14. So, or I divided it by 4, because when I divided it by 3, it was a lot more, and I thought that was going to be too much of a decrease. So every 4 single crochets, I started at the bottom. I started right here in the armpit. I only did 1. I did this too, so it gives a little breathing room, if you can see it. But I did 1 double crochet. Then I skipped the 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so I skipped the 4 spaces, and then I did the shell for the granny square, and then I skipped 4 more and did another one, and I did that every 4 all the way around. And then when I got back to the end, I did my last shell and I slip stitched it, right? And then that was 14. So then I came up here and I made only 13, and you just got to try to make it as even as you possibly can. But it worked out really well for me like that, so it just automatically made 13. And then you'll see the next one, I did 12, and like I don't have that space anymore, so I did like 2 right here and 1 right here, so there's no like, this isn't 3. I hope you understand what I'm saying. You have to have like basic knowledge, but it shouldn't be too hard. And if you have any questions, I'll try to walk you through it, or I'll try to answer them. I have Asperger's, and so it's a bit difficult for me because my brain doesn't work the same as most people. So anyway, so the first row is every 4 single crochets you make a shell. The second row, so it'll be 14 in the first row. The second row is 13. The third row is 14. No, 12. So it goes to then decrease 14, 13, 12. So once you get to the third row and you make 12, you go as long as you want. Right before I hit my elbow, I made an increase on each side. And again, the increase is basically just, you know, underneath. It's right there. Hopefully you can see it well. But it's just basically like 2 shells in the same hole. And then when you go back for the next row, you're gonna do like that. And just work it like a regular one. So it's 12 all the way down, and then when you start your increase, the first increase is 1 on each side. So it goes from 12 to 14, and so the next row is 14. Then the next row after that, I did the same exact increase, 1 on each side, and then the next row makes 16. So then I tried to get a very even bell. I want it to look nice, smooth as butter, very flowing. So what I did was now I have 16 stitches. So I chained up 3, turned my work every single time, and what I did was I was like, okay, 16 divided by is an even number and divisible by 4. So I decided that every 4th stitch I was going to do an increase. So you do 1 shell, 1 shell, 1 shell, 2 shells in the same stitch increase. And I did that all around. So all around, it's an increase on every 4th shell until you get to the last space. So you do 1, 1, 1, increase, 1, 1, 1, increase, 1, 1, 1, increase, and then 1, 1, 1 in your very last space before you connect should be that increase. So if not, you could probably just add 1 and nobody would really notice, but it's not possibly going to give the smoothness that you're wanting. So after that, I did 2 more that, you know, to stabilize it. And then, so every 3 rows I did the increase. So the 16 I did, and it gave me 20 stitches. So it was the 16 row increase, then 2 regular ones, and then the next increase, so it was 20 on the 2 stabilizing rows. And then if you increase it every 2 rows, it goes really fast. So it depends on how big you want your bell. But if you do want your bell a lot bigger, you can increase it as fast as you want. So my bell sleeve, I'm gonna try to do a tutorial maybe later for it if it's wanted, and just do the sleeve by itself. But basically, like I said, it's 16 with the increases, the 4 increases all around, making 20, and then 20 again. And then now in the next increase, instead of every 4th stitch, again, you're going to do 4 increases, but instead of every 4th stitch, it's going to be every 5th stitch, because now we're dividing by 20. So you do that, and then you do 2 more rows following it with no increases, just, you know, stabilizing it. And then the next row is every 6th stitch, and so on and so forth. So the first one is 4 every 4th stitch, then every 5th stitch, then every 6th stitch, then every 7th stitch, every 8th stitch, every 9th stitch. So the last row I did was every 9th stitch. I did 2 stabilizing rows afterwards, and I really liked it, but this darker pink was starting to come in, and so I did a 3rd row on that. That's the only one that I did 3 rows afterwards, and it worked out for me. I really like the length. I feel like everything is perfect on it. But if you have any questions, please let me know. I think there's like comments or something. I'm sorry, this is my first video, and I'm just trying to make it for other hookers that are in a group of mine, so that we can, you know, kind of bounce our ideas off each other and be inspired. I don't want to write a pattern, nor do I want to try to sell a pattern. I just want to make stuff that makes me happy, and I hope it makes you happy and makes your heart smile, or whoever you make it for. I hope their heart smiles too. All right, well, thank you, queens. Have a great day.